and welcome to Tech Latest from Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. I'm your host, Katey Creel, and I'm joined by Cissy Zhou, our Hong Kong correspondent, who's with me in the studio this week to talk about the pain hitting China's smartphone market. Welcome, Cissy.
Hi, Katey. Great to be here.
It's great to have you in the studio. This is a rare treat. So this week, we're going to talk about smartphones. And as many of our readers and listeners know, there is a memory chip crunch going on, and it's hitting everything from AI servers to smartphones to PCs, and it's only getting worse. So the cause is basically AI demand is sucking up a lot of the memory chip output, and there's not a lot of capacity. You can check out some of our earlier stories on this on our website. We've covered it quite well, if I do say so myself. But today we're talking specifically about companies in China that are on the sharp end of this shortage, smartphone makers in China.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cissy, how would you describe the smartphone market in recent years? The big players, the big trends?
Yeah. In recent years, China's smartphone market has been undergoing a fierce competition. In the premium market, so the major players are Apple and Huawei, with Apple dominating over 70% of market share of devices priced over 8,000 yuan or roughly $1,100.
70%, that's more than I would have guessed, actually.
Yes, Chinese people love iPhones. But now Huawei has a lot of premium models. They are getting more and more popular,
right,
with the Chinese rich people. But on the other hand, over the past decade, budget smartphones, which means smartphones priced below 1,000 yuan or less than $150.
Oh, wow. Very budget.
They have served as a critical lever for the expansion of those Chinese brands, and because they sacrificed profit margins for high shipment volumes. Now, the global memory chip shortage is systematically wiping out the budget phone segment, and it's also forcing prices up by as much as 20% to 30%. So from early this month on, China's smartphone market is seeing one of its biggest and widest price hikes ever. And it has affected almost all brands and product categories. And this price jump, combined with consumers now keeping their phones for about 33 months, is shifting competition away from pure hardware specifications towards on-device AI features. And it's also making life tougher for smaller brands and leaving the market increasingly dominated by the so-called Big Five in the Chinese mobile phone market, which namely it's Huawei, Apple, Vivo, Oppo, and Xiaomi.
So Apple being the lone non-Chinese player in there. That's 33 months is a long replacement cycle. It's over 2 years.
Yes.
Though I guess I've held on to phones for about 3 or 4 years, so I'm not one to talk.
Me too.
So why is the memory chip crunch hurting smartphone makers so much? And how are they trying to deal with this? I know it's something that a lot of tech manufacturers are facing, but what can these smartphone makers do?
Yes. So that is because the cost of the memory chips, so which used to be around 15% of a phone's total cost, has now skyrocketed to nearly 40% for some models.
That's crazy.
And that has completely erased the thin margins that Chinese budget brands rely on. So to survive, these Chinese brands are aggressively rising retail prices, as we just mentioned. And at the same time, they are also strapping out non-essential hardwares like premium camera sensors or high-end displays just to offset the costs. And in addition, they're also adding more AI features to encourage consumers to upgrade their phones.
Hopefully AI is attractive enough to offset,
because
a less good camera or sensors aren't quite as strong.
That's because the cost is relatively lower because there's so many open source models to use.
Oh, right. And I guess putting in more software related upgrades, it's cheaper than hardware would be.
Exactly.
And I guess I can understand now why the replacement cycle is getting so much longer. If you face a prospect, I'm going to buy a new phone, but it's going to be more expensive and have worse specifications, then I'll just keep my current one for longer.
Yeah. And also, if your new products are not that exciting, and plus there's a price hike, I think people would be more hesitant to replace their phones.
Right. And making things even worse for a lot of these Chinese brands is that the higher input costs aren't the only kind of headwind they're facing. They're also getting some fresh competition from Apple in the lower end market. So how big a deal is the iPhone 17e?
Yeah, it's quite a big deal, actually. So first of all, some stuff from Samsung have already complained to us because they think, the release of the new iPhone 17e is Apple's move trying to grab more Chinese markets with much lower price.
Samsung.
And then so Samsung really hates that. And also, in China, it is priced starting at $650.
Wow.
And consumers can actually have it for as low as $550 with Chinese government subsidies because Beijing is offering consumption subsidies to boost the consumption as economic growth is really, really slowing down. As you can see, that China just set its target for GDP growth this year to a record low to 4.5 to 5%. So that is the first time since 1991 that the figure has dropped below 5%.
Oh, that's wow.
Yeah. So the low-priced iPhone 17e is a direct competition with China's value flagships like the Redmi K90 or IG15, as we mentioned in our story. So for many consumers who are already facing price hikes from Chinese brands, actually they can just jump to a more prestige Apple devices. Because that's that's a very easy choice and more accessible.
Yeah, if you can't have an Apple, why not?
Yeah. So besides Huawei, because Huawei is like a national champion,
and their tech is very strong. I mean, their capabilities are quite.
That's what I heard. Actually, when I visit my hometown, I saw a lot of my friends are using Huawei. So actually, the device is over 10,000 yuan. So it's much more expensive than an iPhone. So back to our discussion about the iPhone 17e. So that is a really big threat to any brands that is not named Huawei.
I can imagine, gosh. And the issue isn't just even in their home market. So these higher component costs are impacting their global strategies too. So what does it mean for them in other markets?
Exactly. So the surge in component costs may force some Chinese brands to change their strategy. I personally think kind of, to a more survival model because the margin is so thin. Right. And so for years, players like Xiaomi and Transsion, so they have used this ultra low cost devices to enter emerging markets like India, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Transsion is called 非洲之王. It's a very cute name, I would say. In English, it's translated as the king in Africa. Because it's super popular.
Right.
The reason, one of the reasons why it's so popular in Africa, because first of all, because it's like the price is very low,
right.
And second of all, they have a filter to make because in Africa, for most of Africans, because they're black, their skin, they can make their skin look better.
Oh,
yeah. So they use AI filter. Okay. So if you take a selfie or no matter it's selfie or not, you will look much better. So that's one of their
kind of customized features for that market in a way that I'm guessing Apple would really have that.
They have a specific filter for black people.
Okay. Wow.
So that's why they're so popular.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting company. But now...
It's knowing their market, actually knowing your target customers.
Of course. Yeah. So in that market, they have a few competitors. But also, so now with this hardware cost surge, last week, IDC updated their outlook for the mobile phone market. So now they are predicting the global shipment of mobile phones to decline 13% this year.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is the largest drop ever due to the memory chip shortage. And some analysts even predict a 20% drop in shipments for emerging markets because the devices that is priced under $150, they are facing a more serious challenge because their margin is already super thin.
Right. And this is assuming they can even get the supplies of memory chips they need to make the phones.
Exactly, because those memory chip suppliers, they would definitely prioritize, Apple and Samsung. And I also saw reports saying, Apple has agreed to, to double their price to secure more memory chip supplies from Samsung.
Yeah. How do you compete against that if you're not extremely deep-pocketed? So.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So do you have any plans to upgrade your iPhone or your smartphone anytime soon?
Thanks to the company, I just got my new iPhone, actually. It's a 17.
Oh, nice.
Not a 17E.
So you're set for the foreseeable.
So I'm good now.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because who knows when the memory chip crunch is going to ease.
I saw like most analysts predicted that it's going to continue to next year.
Right. So got a long road ahead of us. Well, thank you so much, Cissy. It's been great having you in the studio again, and always lovely talking about the Chinese market with you.
Thank you for having me again.
That's all for this week's episode. For more of Nikkei Asia's tech coverage, visit asia.nikkei.com. You can also subscribe to our weekly Tech Asia newsletter, which will be delivered to your inbox every Thursday. Thanks again for listening, and check back with us next week for more updates on the tech trends that matter.